Well, at least they didn't wait till extras to lose that one.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers, the first and best daily Rangers podcast. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan, covering this team for 12 seasons, including all 7 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, on today's show, we're talking about a stupid loss, a weird game for Jacob deGrom, and some advice I have from my youth for Jake Berger about how to be better at baseball. Before we get into all that, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Now, the Rangers lost last night on a walk-off, walk a shrimp, if you will. Hobie Milner coming in with the bases loaded and 1 out to face a lefty. And after getting ahead 0-2, he cannot retire Nolan Shanuel. He takes ball 4 in the dirt, flips his bat, and a walk-off, walk a shrimp, if you will, or even if you will not. And this Rangers team will not win baseball games right now. They are just in such a miserable place to watch. It is absolutely infuriating. And like I said in the cold open, the only bright spot I really have for you in this game is that, well, at least they didn't wait until 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. or however long they would have gone in extras on the West Coast, which, by the way, should be illegal. Honestly, baseball, just go ahead and implement a tie if there is extra innings on the West Coast. Unless both teams are of the West Coast, then any games that go on past midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., especially between teams at third and fourth place in the AL West, which the Rangers are now flip-flopped and are in fourth place in the AL West, thanks to this loss to the hapless freaking Angels. Despite getting 4 runs, something that normally would get them the win, almost always this season has gotten them the win, especially when getting 4 runs with your ace on the mound. That surely should get a win. They didn't even just get 4 runs, they got 5 runs in this one. But that was not enough to stop these stupid California, Los Angeles, Anaheim, Orange County, not Orange County, whatever they're actually called, Angels of wherever they so happen to be. This was just such a weird and infuriating game. Not only just Hobie Milner walking it off with a walk-off loss, but Jake deGrom getting tagged for 3 runs. That's not something that's happened in many a moon. And what was really weird about it is that you watch the first couple of innings and Jacob deGrom just couldn't be touched. He was absolutely unhittable, especially that first inning, needing just 11 pitches to breeze through that inning. Looked like the Rangers were going to be able to get Yusei Kikuchi out of this game early. AL All-Star Yusei Kikuchi out of this game early. I mean, they got to him for 4 runs, through 3 innings, and they got that pitch count up there. But then the 4th and 5th innings, they just had incredibly quick innings, including the 4th inning where the Rangers needed just 9 pitches to go down against Yusei Kikuchi. But deGrom looked absolutely untouchable in those first couple innings. A little bit of a long at bat against Travis d'Arnaud in that second inning, but really just the first inning he looked absolutely untouchable. But then gives up a couple of extra base hits, one a hanging fastball, if there is such a thing, to Jorge Soler right down the middle that was hit 111 miles an hour. Honestly, a little bit lucky that it wasn't hit higher, because that absolutely would have been a home run. And then a slider on a 2-0 pitch that did not slide at all. The third straight slider he had thrown to Travis d'Arnaud. This one was just about as middle as you can get. And Travis d'Arnaud absolutely obliterated that baseball. Then he comes back to Chad Stevens and throws his first 100-mile-an-hour pitch of the evening. Actually, the first 100-mile-an-hour pitch of the evening. The very first, the third pitch of that at bat, and it strikes him out. You're okay. Well, still have a lead. Rangers still have a lead. It's a tie game at that point. Or it's fine. No, they didn't. Oh my gosh, this West Coast game has got my brain so incredibly screwed up. It was a 3-2 game at that point, but then the Rangers come back and give him that lead in the third inning, where you go to the bottom of that third inning, you're like, okay, all right, well, a couple of bad pitches lead to a couple of runs, as well as that leadoff run, that first inning run after the double to Zach Neto, where there's a sac fly, maybe a little bit better a throw could have prevented that from being an actual sac fly, and Jake deGrom could have gotten out of it. But then you get to that third inning, and something weird happened. It was almost like Jacob deGrom was tipping his pitches, but not all of his pitches, just one pitch in particular, just the slider, which has been his best pitch by far, which is one of the best pitches in all of baseball, because these Angels look like they knew it was coming. They knew when they could take that slider. They knew when they could get off a healthy swing at it, including that leadoff single on a perfect slider. Just you could not place it more perfectly to Zach Neto, and he promptly dumps it into left field for a leadoff single. Then he walks Mike Trout on what was a pretty darn good ball four, a 99.6 mile an hour fastball just off the plate. And he was able to foul off a bunch of sliders that were just on the corner. I mean, in that inning alone, Jacob deGrom threw so many sliders on that glove side down corner to right-handed hitters that they either took pretty comfortably or were able to foul off like they knew it was coming and just work that next pitch, including Joe Adell, who is not a guy with a particularly high walk rate. There were a lot of really, really good sliders that Joe Adell would normally swing out of his shoes on, and he didn't do that in that at bat. And neither did Mike Trout, who is not having the best year, but is still swinging, is having an okay year, but has still always had some swing and miss to his game. But then gets out of that jam with a bases loaded jam with a called strike three on a slider that was maybe a little bit of a gift pitch for that strikeout of Jorge Soler. It was, if you look on the baseball MLB.com's box score, where you pull up the at bat, it looks like it's just maybe barely touching the zone. Borderline call, but Jacob deGrom is one of the best pitchers on earth, and he has earned the benefit of the doubt on those calls. I mean, it was a good job by Jonah Heim framing a lot of these pitches that he just was not quite getting the call on. And you give Jacob deGrom another quarter inch off that plate, he is going to sit there, he is going to live there, and there is nothing you can do about it. But they ran that pitch count up 35 pitches in that third inning alone. You thought, okay, well, maybe you go away from the slider. Maybe you figure out whatever they were seeing when you were tipping your pitches. I mean, this is something that he had struggled with early this year. It's not something he's just struggled with in his career as a whole, but he switched his glove out this year to kind of hide his hand a little bit better so that hitters wouldn't be able to see when that slider is coming. Then he comes out for the fourth inning, gets an easy 1-2-3 inning. Then he gets a trio of strikeouts in the fifth inning to get through 5 innings after giving up 3 runs and a couple of walks. A very uncharacteristic day for Jacob deGrom, who hasn't given up 3 runs in a game since April 11th against Seattle. That was the last time he gave up 3 or more runs. He's given up 3 or more runs 3 times this year. Last night, in those three runs in 4 innings in Seattle on the 11th, and then 4 runs in 5 2/3 innings against Tampa Bay in his second start of the season. Other than that, it's been 2 or fewer runs every single time out for Jacob deGrom. That's why he's been so incredibly good, because he is so incredibly consistent, and he's been going, 6 innings every time out in his last 5 starts. He went 6 innings, his last 6 starts, every single start in June. He went 6 or more innings, 6, 7, 6, 6, 7, 6 innings in his last game against Baltimore, where he was not at his best, but he's still pretty darn good there. But only 5 innings, but being able to work through 5 innings. Again, this bullpen has been taxed so mightily. They are so incredibly ready for that All-Star break. They don't have an off day between now and the All-Star break, and they got a bunch of late night West Coast games. But seeing him dial it back in, that's what aces do. That's what they do when they're not having their best stuff, when whatever is going awry, even in that third inning where he threw 35 pitches and he loaded the bases. He got out of it without giving up a single earned run, without giving up any runs at all. That is what the best pitchers on earth do. That is what Jacob deGrom is. That is why he is in the Cy Young conversation. But even though his offense did a decent amount to help him, the bullpen didn't. And some parts of this offense, including Jake Berger, who had a really rough day, redeemed it with some good base running. But I've got some advice for Jake Berger, for White Langford, and a few other batters on this team from my 10-year-old self. Talk about all that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high stakes action, FanDuel is the best way to get in the game and make it more exciting. You're already following all the action, so why not make it a little bit more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get on the game while your friends are getting sunburnt at the beach. Right now, talking about Jacob deGrom, his odds for the American League Cy Young Award, he has the fourth best odds according to FanDuel. Right now, the favorite is Tarek Skubal at minus 330. Ahead of him, Hunter Brown at plus 700. Garrett Crochet also at plus 700. Jacob deGrom in there at fourth place at plus 1200. You want to look at the Rangers' odds to win the AL West? Hey, don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. It's not going to help anybody at all. But what will help you is if you go to FanDuel.com, new customers can bet just $5 and win $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Shout out to the Everydayers making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. On tomorrow's show, I'll be talking about this second game of the series. Hopefully a gem from Nathan Eovaldi. Hopefully a bounce back from this team and a better day offensively where the Texas Rangers can learn from some advice I had back in 2001. Now, I was going through some old stuff with my mom this week, with my girlfriend. We were going through some stuff she saved that I wrote back many moons ago. And we stumbled across this diary that I had back in 2001. I had some really cute things to say about baseball, about some guy named Ronald Morgan, which I didn't know who the heck that was. We spent a little bit of time looking up who the heck Ronald Morgan was on Baseball Reference. There have only been 7 Ronalds, I think, in the history of Major League Baseball. The first one somehow didn't make his debut until 2009. That was Ronald Belisario. There's been Ronald Acuna Jr., Ronald Torres, Ronald Guzman, of course, Ronald Bolaños, and Ronald Herrera. That's it. There have not been a whole lot of Ronalds. Been a lot of Rons, not a lot of Ronalds. So we ended up looking up, and it was this children's book that I was writing a full page journal, page plus, journal entry on Ronald Morgan and how to be better at baseball. There's the book was called Ronald Morgan at the Bat. Basically, it's this kid who's very bad at baseball. And I had some helpful pointers for how Ronald Morgan could be better hitting the baseball. And I feel like this is very applicable for Jake Berger, who had just a really rough day. He redeemed himself by hustling on a drop third strikes, a swing and miss at a pitch so wild that it got far enough away from the catcher for him to reach first base. He ends up scoring on a double by Josh Smith, but an 0 for 4 day with 3 strikeouts, and 2 of those strikeouts on pitches that nobody in their right mind would ever have a prayer of actually hitting. I have this advice for you, Jake Berger, and also Zeke Duran, and also a little bit for Wyatt Langford, who went 0 for 4 with a strikeout. Dear Ronald Morgan, Jake Berger, Wyatt Langford, Ezekiel Duran, maybe you should look and see if it is in the strike zone. If it is in the strike zone, open your eyes. Look where it is in the strike zone and swing. If it is not in the strike zone, then do not swing because it will be a ball. If the pitcher throws 4 balls, you will be able to go to first base. That will be called, turn the page, walking. Wise words from a 10-year-old me. It will be called walking. Have you heard of that, Jake Berger? Have you heard of walking? No, he has not heard of walking. Excuse me. 10-year-old me was clearly a ball knower. But speaking of not walking, Jake Berger's walk rate this year, he's always been someone who does not know what a walking is. This year, it's been especially egregious. The chase rate has been tremendously bad. He's in the bottom 6 percentile of chase rate. He's chasing 38.2% of the time. Basically, any pitch anywhere near the zone, or heck, even not near the zone, you get him to 2 strikes, he's swinging out of his freaking shoes. I mean, the strikeout rate itself is not particularly abysmal. I mean, it's not good at 26% strikeout rate and a 29.1% whiff rate. Both of those in the bottom 20% of baseball, but his walk rate is in the bottom 2% of baseball because it is at 3%. Just 3% of the time he's walking. 3%. He's never been a guy who walks a whole lot. 5.3% walk rate for his career. Now, that's not particularly high. In 2023, his first year as a big league regular, he walked about 6% of the time. Last year, 5.5% of the time. Now he's down to 3. That is not sustainable. It's not sustainable. That's why he's slugging like crap over his last 7, 15, 30 games. He has not been slugging at all. He has 1 homer in his last 15 games because you don't get pitches to hit if you're swinging at balls that would go behind the opposing batter's box or balls that are, spiking in the freaking grass. They don't even get to the dirt before home plate. And he's swinging at those. He's just got to have much better swing decisions. And it feels like he gets to 0-2 so quickly. It feels like everybody on this team gets to 0-2 so incredibly quickly and then just swings out of their freaking minds. But I do have to give this man credit. I do have to give Jake Burger credit for actually running out that drop strike 3. Because if he didn't do that, then the Rangers wouldn't have tied it up. And while they did end up losing, it's a good bit of hustle. And a good bit of hustle running and scoring from first on that double by Josh Smith. A pinch hit double, a massive hit, giving the Rangers a tie game in the top of the 8th inning after the Rangers surrendered the lead in the bottom of the 6th inning, right after Jacob deGrom was out with a lead in line for the win to help bolster his stats. Alas, that was not the case for him in this one. And but Jake Burger, being such a thick boy and being able to run so incredibly quickly, boggles my mind. He is in the top third of baseball in terms of sprint speed, the 71st percentile at 28.1 feet per second. And this guy is listed at 6 foot, 230 pounds. This boy can move. He can scoot. It makes no sense. He is not somebody who looks like he could run worth a lick. But he is one of the faster players on this Rangers team. I'm a little surprised he hasn't been more aggressive stealing bases. I mean, he's got the speed too, but unfortunately now the book is out on him that this big boy can run. When he first came up, he beat out a lot of infield hits because, everyone played him back. They thought, oh, well, I don't have to hustle this throw. This is the fat boy. He's not going to be able to run and beat out this throw to first base. And whoop, there he did. And this one was a showing of his speed. Watching him get to go from first base on that double of just being at full tilt, full sprint from the get-go, it was magnificent. There are a few things I love more impressive athletic feats to me personally, or just honestly more joyous than watching a big boy run. I mean, like in football, when you see a scoop and score, especially one of those defensive linemen that are, usually 6'5", 350 pounds, bumbling, stumbling, rumbling for the end zone. This is what Jake Burger was, except instead of just waddling his way in there, the speed is absolutely elite speed. It's kind of like watching Derrick Henry, forgive the double football metaphor. You see Derrick Henry, if you've watched the NFL, Derrick Henry is a 6'4" running back. Normally running backs are 5'10" to 6 foot, but that man is built like a truck. And especially go back and watch his high school highlight reel tape if you want to watch him just be that size and run through a bunch of 16 and 18-year-olds. I mean, watching him and he's also got elite speed. It's why it's like Jake Burger, guy that's just built like a brick house, absolutely being incredibly fast. It just does not compete. It's kind of like Wyatt Langford as well, except Langford is a little more cut, a little less bulky, if you will. But watching those two guys that are built like absolute brick houses run crazy fast brings me so much joy. One of the few things watching this baseball team that actually brings me joy. One of the other things that brings me joy, Corey Seager. Talk about him and something that doesn't bring me joy last night. This stinking bullpen. Right after this. This show is brought to you by OpenPhone. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had a service emergency, like a burst pipe. If the first plumber didn't answer, You didn't wait, did you? No, you called the next one. That's why having a reliable business phone is so important, and that's why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system that helps you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app on your phone or computer. Did you juggle 2 phones just to keep business and personal calls separate? OpenPhone solves that instantly. And the AI agent handles after hours calls, answers common questions, and captures leads, so I never miss a customer again. OpenPhone is offering Locked On Rangers listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/lockedonmlb. That's openphone.com/lockedonmlb. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone. No missed calls, no missed customers. Shout out to the everydayers making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. After every single game, Jeff Biggs is coming to you with the Locked On Rangers postcast. It was a tough one for Jeff, and this is a tough week for Jeff with these late night games, but mad respect to Jeff doing a great job. You can find those Locked On Rangers postcasts in your Locked On Rangers podcast feeds on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. But I want to talk about something nice before I talk about something stinky, which is the way I will end this podcast, which is the way the Rangers ended this game last night. But having a couple of good offensive performances from Sam Haggerty, from Corey Seager last night, a little bit from Adolis Garcia, who hit a pitch that, I just gave Jake Berger a lot of grief for swinging at pitches that would have been behind a left-handed batter, but I guess if you're going to swing at them, if you can get an RBI hit with that, then maybe I'll crucify you a little bit less. But Adolis Garcia going down 0-2 and then taking a pitch that probably would have either hit a left-handed batter in the butt cheek or would have been behind that left-handed batter and blooping it into right field for an RBI single. That was a great bit of hitting. Corey Seager with a multi-hit day. He is unlike Ronald Morgan and Jake Berger and knows what a walking is. He worked a walk last night on a pitch that, that pitcher was not trying to do anything to Corey Seager, working that 2-run homer to give the Rangers a lead immediately. He's done that quite a bit lately. I mean, Corey Seager has just been on fire the last 15 games, 6 homers in that span, hitting .281 and on base near .420 of .417 and slugging 1 point shy of .650. That is a 1,076 OPS, if my math is mathing correctly. Maybe 1,066 in the last 15 games. He has been on fire. But you pair that down to the last 7 games. I mean, he has 13 ribbies in his last 15 games. Pair that down to the last 7. He's only got 4 ribbies in his last 7 games, and 2 of those came on that 2-run bomb. I believe the other 2 also came on another 2-run bomb, because this Rangers offense is not doing a whole lot outside of him. They're not doing a lot to reach base. Sam Haggerty reaching base 3 times, 2 of which on infield hits, 1 of which on error that might have been an infield hit, and started this game with perhaps the silliest infield hit I've ever seen. A ball hit right back to Yusei Kikuchi, who's backpedaling on the mound. If you haven't seen the replay of it, go watch it. And maybe play what is that song? Maybe that would fit over it. Just some goofy error music, because he literally stumbles back over himself. It feels like he does like 17 backward somersaults. I know that wasn't actually the case, but credit to Sam Haggerty for doing a good job of getting on base and reaching base against lefties and reaching base ahead of Corey Seager to do some damage so that all his home runs he's hitting aren't completely in vain. But also Jonah Heim, who has been hitting a lot better as of late with a couple of hits, including an RBI single, including a walk as well. I mean, just a good day for him offensively, in that big pinch hit double by Josh Smith, coming in there in a clutch spot where the Rangers just needed something. They honestly just needed base runners, and he comes in there and delivers a big hit. Evan Carter coming in there and pinch hitting and having to hit against a lefty was a little bit of a tough look for him, but hey, he did it. He had a decent at bat. I mean, he was called out on strikes, not ideal in that first at bat, but the second one, facing off against a lefty, sees a pitch right down the middle on the first pitch against Brock Burke, and he swings at it, doesn't do much with it, but at least a quality at bat. He's not able to just get taken advantage of because there's a lefty on the mound. His at bats there have been a lot more competitive against lefties, and I've really seen some growth there. The results might not be incredibly pretty. I still don't really think the Rangers should be starting him against left-handed pitching, but it's not like it had been in the past. I mean, it's not like whenever he sees a lefty, he's just absolutely obliterated. I mean, his OPS is 158 points shy of against lefties of what it is against righties, but it's not that bad. He's got a 333 on base percentage in 10 at bats against lefties this year. He's got a couple of walks, so 12 plate appearances. He got as many walks as strikeouts against lefties. He's also got a couple of hits, so he doesn't have any extra base hits. I don't think the Rangers are expecting that of him whenever he gets at bats against lefties. Usually it's in either a late game tie game situation or the Rangers have the lead and they want to keep him in there for his defense. But the at bats have been much more competitive. It's not like he's getting completely overmatched against those lefties. And that is a big step forward. Those are the two things that were most concerning about Evan Carter coming into the season is, well, he's not healthy. That back is going to ruin him. That's not the case. He has been playing very healthy for most of the season. Whenever since he's been called up, I mean, he had that one little stint on the IL, and he hasn't been hitting for a whole lot of power as of late. Outside of that, that run there in the middle of June when he was absolutely on fire, he's kind of cooled off a little bit as of late. But he's still in his last 7 games, he's still got a 379 OBP. He's slugging only 320. He's hitting 280 though. He's reaching base. He's doing his job for the most part. And he's also got 5 steals in his last 7 games. But the at-bats against lefties have also been better. That is a hugely great sign for the future because as this Rangers team keeps losing games, and as we are less than a week away from the All-Star break and about 3-ish plus weeks away from the trade deadline, it's looking like this is not a team that is going to win, going to buy at the deadline, going to do much of anything. There's also not much to sell here. I mean, besides some bullpen arms, everybody could use an extra bullpen arm here and there. I mean, the Rangers have some good ones out there to sell. I mean, Jacob Webb, who has been at times the Rangers' least trustworthy reliever, was perfect last night. He looked incredible. His last couple of games, he's looked absolutely incredible. He can go multiple innings. He can face righties. He can face lefties. He's looking a lot better as of now. And if your worst reliever has a 3.64 ERA, that's a great spot to be in. Unfortunately, this Rangers offense can't do jack diddly squat, despite the Rangers having the best pitching staff in all of baseball. They also have the best defense in all of baseball. They just can't score worth a crap, which is absolutely infuriating. I mean, every other time in baseball history where a pitching staff had the best ERA in baseball and a team defense had the best fielding percentage in baseball, that team had a winning record by a mile. And this team absolutely should. Maybe with this offense being bad, maybe if they were just mid, they would be, atop the AL West. They would be competing with the Astros for an AL West title. Or even if they were just regular bad, they would definitely be in an AL wildcard spot. But alas, they are terrible. And this bullpen keeps being asked to pitch so many high leverage innings because this offense can't score. And the bullpen finally let up. I mean, Chris Barton had a good day for the most part, but Sean Armstrong, who has been the Rangers' most reliable reliever as of late, just absolutely got obliterated in the 6th inning. I mean, he got the first 2 outs pretty easily, then just a little bloop single by Luis Rengifo and a Travis d'Arnaud double on a sweeper on a 2-strike pitch that was just right down the middle of the plate, did not sweep at all. And then that was the tying run. Then he gives up the go-ahead run on an 0-2 pitch. He gets a foul tip on the first pitch, a swinging strike on the second pitch, and then pitch number 3 on 0-2 with 2 strikes and a runner at second base is just a four-seam fastball right down the freaking middle that gets crushed-ish, not even that crushed, for a 102-mile-an-hour RBI single, and the Angels have the lead. And then the Rangers couldn't hold it because the Rangers asked Chris Martin to come out and pitch a second inning, something he has not done since April, even though he says he feels fine. It just felt a little bit precarious to do that for a guy who has, had some injury struggles this year and in years past. And he is on the old side. He's 38 years old, I believe, at least 38. No, he's 39 years old this year. And it's just not something you need to be doing, is throwing him out there for multiple innings. But the Rangers had to, because even though this offense scored 5 runs, and I'm talking about this offense not doing its job, but they had some more opportunities. And a couple of key double plays grounded into by the two pillars up the middle in Seager and Simeon. The team was 2 for 8 with runners in scoring position and had 7 left on base. Could have done just that little bit more, but alas, they didn't. And this team just keeps on losing. And, I don't know what this team needs. I don't think there's any spark left for this team. I don't have any energy left to keep doing crash outs about West Coast games. My crash outs have crashed out. I've crashed out more this season than I think I have in any season, maybe the entire 5-year history leading up to this. No, 6-year history leading up to this season. I've had more crash outs this season than last year because unlike last year, the team was kind of mid and bad and boring. And it felt kind of obvious all season long that they weren't going to do anything about it. There was no potential to just turn things on unless the offense just remembered how to hit, which didn't feel like they were going to do. This year, there's a good pitching staff, a really good pitching staff, a really good defense, and an offense that's just historically inept and unlucky and just incredibly unfun. Just like these stupid West Coast losses, just an incredibly miserable, boring, annoying, frustrating, tiring game that we have seen time and time again. And if they're going to lose these other games, well, the most we can ask is that at least they keep it to just 9 innings. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank you all so much for listening and subscribing. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy baseball.